Happy New Year, everybody. Captain Lou here with another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza 2026 New Year's Day, live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube and, of course, on our Facebook page, which is the Captain Lou Extravaganza. And we are always live with our programming right here on X. Follow us at The Real Captain Lou. Great to be with you here on New Year's Day. It is a college football New Year's Day. We've got three monster matchups in the quarterfinal action in the college football playoff. We're going to talk about those, as well as last night's game between Miami and Ohio State. We're going to have a brand new college football national champion as the Buckeyes went down to a very underrated Miami Hurricane team last night. We'll talk about that as well. Week 18 in the NFL is upon us. Some real dogs coming up on Sunday. The best games probably on Saturday night, just what the NFL wanted. And, of course, we'll talk about Michigan's game against Texas yesterday. Maybe it was Arch Manning finally showing that he could be a potential Heisman winner next year at the University of Texas. A great showing for him last night against Michigan. And, of course, our Red Wings, they're number one right now in the Atlantic Division still. A big win at home in their annual New Year's Eve game, this time over the Winnipeg Jets. A reunion of sorts for Patrick Kane and Taves for now the Jets. We'll talk about that. We'll give you the NHL standings and a whole lot more right here on the Extravaganza. As we mentioned, Happy New Year, everybody. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, by the way, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. You get all of our great programming on there. Our extravagant few minutes episodes that we do throughout the week, usually around 5 o'clock Eastern time on the Captain Lou Sports Network, live and archived. And, of course, our Wednesday night extravaganza shows. We got a lot of those planned. We're going to expand them a little bit here in 2026 as things are getting bigger and better here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. You can watch all those shows live and archived, by the way. And also, we have our ACHA Power Play podcast kicking back up next week. The Road to St. Louis, our 10th season of the ACHA Power Play, as the sprint portion of our schedule with the Power Play coming into effect, as with all the teams as they get set for the national championships. It's going to be a little over 2 months away before we all congregate in St. Louis for the ACHA 2026 national championships. We got a big showcase coming up in about 8 days, a week from tomorrow. I'll be down there calling the games for the Nashville showcase, the SEC showcase for the ACHA. The collection of D2 teams, 8 of them, as a matter of fact, will be congregating there for 3 days of action. It's always a lot of fun. Can't wait to be down there for it with the some of the gang there at the ACHA. But you can get all of those shows live and archived by subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, and so much going on with that. Hey, a reminder that all of our shows, including our extravagant few minutes episodes and everything, is brought to you by the official secondary market of the Captain Lou Sports Network, and that is SeatGeek. Use the promo code Captain Lou, and you'll get $20 off of your purchase. It's that simple. There's a game you want to go to this weekend. If there's an NFL game you want to go to, use the promo code Captain Lou. You'll get $20 off those tickets. If you're still maybe teetering, if you're in Miami or if you're in Pasadena, bring a raincoat if you're in Pasadena, by the way, or if you're in New Orleans and you want to go to one of the playoff games tonight, make sure you go to SeatGeek. Use the promo code Captain Lou. You get $20 off of your purchase. Or if you're going to be down in Miami tomorrow for the Winter Classic, say hi to Rod Peterson from the Rod Peterson Show if you see him there. Use the promo code Captain Lou, and you'll get $20 off of your purchase. It is that simple. All right, here we go. The college football playoff quarterfinals are underway. Yesterday was the first matchup, Miami and Ohio State. And I got to tell you, I'm flabbergasted in a sense. I'm very surprised at the amount of, I'm surprised at the amount of surprise, I guess, for lack of a better word. Excuse me. Let me see if I can say that again. I just don't get the amount of love that Miami is not getting after the win yesterday, and how everybody's calling it this monumental upset that Miami had by winning over Ohio State yesterday. Now, I know Miami was a 9.5-point underdog coming into that game. Miami being a 9.5-point underdog against Ohio State yesterday was laughable. That was like taking candy from a baby if you're a sports bettor like I am. And that was one of the easiest bets you're going to have. Their defense against Texas A&M should have told you that they were going to come to play yesterday. And they proved that their defense was one of the reasons why they won. Now, I know they had Carson Beck. He's a winner. That's all the guy does is win. He won at Georgia. Now he's taken Miami into the semifinals. And again, don't be surprised if they win coming up in the semifinals next weekend. As they look tough. They look tough against Ohio State. And you got to give Ohio State some love too. Defending national champions. I know their schedule wasn't the greatest, and maybe the Big Ten wasn't as strong as everybody liked to think it was. But you've got to give Miami all the credit in this one. Their defense came to play. They shut down Ohio State's offense, and they proved that they belong in the college football playoff. No doubt about it. So give credit to Miami. They're going to move on now in the college football playoff as they are going to take on the winner of Ole Miss and Georgia. That one's going to be in the Sugar Bowl coming up tonight. That one ought to be a dandy as or Georgia, a 6.5-point favorite coming into the game against Ole Miss. I'm really looking forward to that matchup with the quarterbacks. Chambliss looking really good for Ole Miss in that game. Obviously, Ole Miss with a big win in the opening weekend. Georgia going to be one of those teams now trying to get the stigma or, break the ice for these teams with buys. 0-5 now are the teams that coming off a bye in the college football playoff. It's going to be a big matchup tonight, a 6.5-point favorite. That's Georgia over Ole Miss. I think Georgia's going to win that one, and I think they're going to cover the spread in this one. I just think they're too good a team. They're my pick to go to the national championship game and potentially win it all. I think they're going to beat Miami next week. Miami's good, but I think Georgia gets past Ole Miss, and I think that's going to be one heck of a matchup in one semifinal. But in this one, I just think they're going to have too much firepower for Ole Miss's defense. I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun in that one. But give me Georgia minus 6.5 coming up tonight in the nightcap of the college football playoff triple header in the quarterfinals here on New Year's Day. Opening up in just about an hour or so, maybe a little bit less than that. It's going to be Oregon and Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. This one now, it said 2.5 when I was getting ready for the show. Now it's down to minus 1.5. So this one's pretty much a toss-up game. This is going to be another one. Texas Tech got the bye, Big 12 champions, and so they're going to try to break that mold, I guess, as I talked about earlier with Oregon or with Texas Tech, trying to make it 1-5 for the bye teams or the teams coming off a bye. Oregon, they look pretty good. I know it's James Madison. I get it. But it's going to be an interesting matchup for them. The Big Ten with Oregon coming in a 2.5-point favorite in this one. Dante Moore led that offense against James Madison. Is he going to be able to do it against Texas Tech's defense? A little different story now. They're going to step up in quality against Texas Tech. But I think Oregon, this is a toss-up. I really don't know how to think on this one. Being a Big Ten guy, I would like to see Oregon win to advance. Still, it's crazy to think that Oregon is a Big Ten team, but they are indeed. And right now, they're a 1.5-point favorite. As I said, the line has dropped in this one. Who knows? By game time, could be a pick'em game. But I'm going to stick with Oregon. I think they're going to edge them, but I think it's going to be really close. And another good matchup for this one as they start off the college football triple header for the playoffs. And then in the Rose Bowl, kind of an interesting matchup here. Right now, the line, again, is dropped down to 7 in this one. Just as I came on air, I looked at it one last time, didn't have time to change it on the Chiron or whatever. So it's a 7-point favorite now, that being Alabama, or Indiana rather, against Alabama. This is going to be a very intriguing matchup. You got two teams maybe with chips on their shoulder. Kurt Cignetti in Indiana, they got blown out last year in the college football playoff. They're going to try to prove that they belong. They handled Ohio State in that championship game in the Big Ten. Their defense is going to be key in this one. I know they've got Fernando Mendoza, probably the number 1 overall pick in the draft, probably going to the Raiders. But in this one, I like this matchup for Indiana. Alabama, though, they proved the naysayers wrong against Oklahoma. They spotted them a big lead and then came back and won after an impressive late second quarter and second half matchup against the Sooners. But this is Indiana and their defense. I think it's a little better defense than Oklahoma's. But again, they've got a chip on their shoulder as well. 7 points is a lot in this one. I'm not going to touch this one either as far as the point spread goes. I think Indiana is going to win this one. I think they're going to win by 7. It's going to be very close. The weather's going to be a factor. They had a flash flood warning they were talking about yesterday in Pasadena. In all the years that I've watched a Rose Bowl game, normally between the Big Ten and the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 or the Pac-8, whatever it's been, I've never seen a game where it rained in the Rose Bowl. Maybe it has. I just don't remember. You know, as I was talking to my wife about it yesterday, my luck, I would plan to go to a Rose Bowl game, no matter who it was. It's one place that I would like to go because you like to sit there. The sunsets, watching out over the mountains is something to behold. The scenery, the pageantry, and everything. It'd be my luck. I'd have to go there wearing rain gear and an umbrella to avoid raindrops in Pasadena. But that's what this could have later on this afternoon into the early evening. But I still like Indiana in this one to win. 7 or 7.5, wherever you see the line on your favorite betting entity. I just think outright, I think Indiana's going to win this one. Give me the Hoosiers going into the semifinals. So with my predictions coming up for next weekend, it's going to turn out to be Georgia and Miami in the semifinal. That's what I predict on January 8th. And then on January 9th at the Peach Bowl, it's going to be Indiana taking on Oregon. I'll go with that. I'll go with a Big Ten semifinal there for the right to go to the championship game in the semifinals. So it's going to, no matter what, it's going to be a fun matchup in the fun matchups, a fun day of college football. If you like college football, you got 3 great games to keep an eye on: noon, 5, and 8 Eastern time, starting out with the Orange Bowl with that matchup there between Texas Tech and Oregon, and then the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl with Indiana taking on Alabama, a very interesting matchup, and then an SEC showdown with Georgia and Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. So 3 great games this afternoon to keep an eye on. And it's funny is, again, this isn't your grandfather's college football season anymore. Who would have thought that a winner of the Rose Bowl would play for the right to go to the Peach Bowl in the semifinals? Just kind of a weird connotation of that is all. So, all right, college football last night. Of course, those of us here in Michigan that are Michigan fans, present company included, watched Texas against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Fun game to watch. Michigan and Texas went toe-to-toe in the first half. Michigan missing that field goal right before halftime kind of curtailed the momentum a little bit, and give Texas credit, especially Arch Manning. He put on a show in that second half. What a pinpoint pass for the touchdown. And then, of course, on the RPO, ran right like a knife through butter, right through the middle of that Michigan defensive line into the secondary, and he was gone for that 60-yard touchdown run. Michigan couldn't recover. Bryce Underwood with a couple of interceptions in that one in the second half. But what a fun game to watch. Biff Poggi had the team prepared. They just ran out of steam in the second half and into the fourth quarter. You got to give Texas all the credit in the world. Is begrudgingly, Steve Sarkisian came with a game plan. And, of course, Arch Manning showed out in that one. It was a showcase for him. Obviously now he's going to be the number 1 Heisman candidate in 2026 after that performance yesterday. Texas with a big win in a non-playoff matchup. Give both teams credit, though. They came out and they showed out in that game. You could have had a lot more talent decide not to play in this one, but they came to play. It's one of the rare times you're going to see this from here on out, I believe. And I guarantee you next year, if Texas isn't in the college football playoff, Arch Manning probably won't be playing. But a lot of people are going to say they're going to be in the playoff next year, especially if they expand the playoff format to 16 teams, which I think they're going to next year. I wouldn't be surprised. But a great game nonetheless, Texas and Michigan, as Texas went on to win the Citrus Bowl against Michigan in Orlando. Now Kyle Whittingham is going to take over as the head coach at Michigan. And all reports, Pete Thamel of ESPN is reporting this morning, that Utah offensive coordinator Jason Beck has told Utah officials he's going to move on to Michigan and accept the offensive coordinator position with the Wolverines. So Kyle Whittingham said yesterday that he wanted to get all of his coaches in place before the transfer portal starts tomorrow, right away, coming from the frying pan into the fire. So it looks like that he's going to be the offensive coordinator at Michigan, that being Jason Beck, the OC at Utah. So, all right, the college football plate has been set for this afternoon, so enjoy those games as well. Transitioning over to Week 18 in the NFL. Two big games Saturday night. It's going to be Carolina taking on Tampa Bay for the right to go to win the NFC South. But the caveat is, even if Tampa wins that game Saturday night, they're still not guaranteed the championship of the division. Should Atlanta win their game against New Orleans on Sunday, there'd be a three-way tie then at 8-9, and Carolina would still win the tiebreak. So Carolina wins, they're in at 9-8. Tampa wins, then they're going to need the Saints to beat Atlanta to win the tiebreak and have an 8-9 team getting the NFC South championship game, and also an opening round playoff home game against more than likely the Rams, who are going to probably be the top wild card seed, or potentially the loser of the 49ers and the Seahawks. So, yeah, that's so an 8-9 team. There's a very good chance an 8-9 team could be hosting another first-round game at home. That's just how the rules are in the NFL. And then in the nightcap, speaking of San Francisco and Seattle, they're going to be playing at San Francisco. That's going to be a monster matchup. The winner of that one will get the number one overall seed in the NFC, the opening round bye. They get the rest players and all that. Sam Darnold, do you trust him at quarterback? Brock Purdy's playing really well right now. That's going to be one heck of a matchup Saturday night on ESPN, about 8:15 Eastern time. So get your popcorn ready for that. After that, though, on Sunday, the games are going to be absolute duds until you wait till Sunday night at 8:20 with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. 3.5-point favorite, the Ravens against Pittsburgh. Why do I have this feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to have one more game in him to get to the playoffs? I don't know. As much as I hate to say it, I think Baltimore. My heart says Baltimore, but my head for some reason says Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers. But we'll talk more about that this weekend. On Saturday, we'll have our NFL preview for the playoffs and everything right here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. So make sure you tune in for that. So those are the games, kind of a quick look at the NFL here coming up this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Finally, how about our Detroit Red Wings as we go to the NHL? Red Wings with another big win last night, this time over the Winnipeg Jets, as Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane got reunited. You know, that dynamic duo that brought the Chicago Blackhawks, helped bring the Blackhawks to 3 Stanley Cup titles back in the last decade. They got to play against each other for the first time. Of course, Kaner, Showtime with the Red Wings, and then Toews now with the Winnipeg Jets. The Red Wings rolling 11-3-1 they were in the month of December to help catapult them into first place in the Atlantic Division. They're back in action tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins on the road in Pittsburgh. Another big matchup for the Wings, as the Tampa Bay Lightning have 2 games in hand on the Red Wings, and they're only 2 points out of first place. So that's something to keep an eye on. But hey, the Red Wings are 10 games over 500 right now in the Atlantic Division, 24-14-3, as they enjoy that cushion right now of just 2 points over the Tampa Bay Lightning. As we take a look at the standings, Montreal and Tampa Bay both have 2 games in hand on the Red Wings, but the Red Wings have 3-point lead over the Canadiens, 2 points over the Tampa Bay Lightning. So something to keep an eye on. The Red Wings, as we mentioned, back in action tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are 17-12-9. They've got 3 games in hand on the Red Wings. It's crazy. If you look at the standings, especially in the Eastern Conference in the Atlantic Division, the Ottawa Senators are 3 games over 500 at 18-15-5, and they're in last place. They're 1 point behind the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are 18-15-6. Now, those teams have some games in hand on the Red Wings, but yeah, 10 points behind in last place. And if you look in the Metropolitan Division, the Columbus Blue Jackets are in last place, and they're over 500. They've got 40 points, as the Carolina Hurricanes are also at 51 points. They've got 2 games in hand on the Red Wings as well. And again, if you look at the Western Conference, we talked about this the other day. You've got the Minnesota Wild in 3rd place in the Central Division with 55 points, 24-10-7. If the playoffs were to start, they would lead any other division in the NHL, and they're in 3rd place. Obviously, they'd make the playoffs, but they're at 24-10-7. The Colorado Avalanche, through 39 games, are 32-7. That's 30 wins, 2 losses, and 7 overtime losses. And Dallas, 25-8-7. So all 3 of those teams would lead any other division in the National Hockey League. And the Edmonton Oilers are leading the Pacific Division at 20-15-6. All right, let's close with giving you some parlays, shall we? Something we do on our Extravagant Few Minutes episodes every week or every day. We've got 3 parlays for you, college football oriented. Presley, the Wonder Dog, and I were talking about it this morning. She's too wound up to come on the air, but she gave them to me. She wants some pizza pies and dog biscuits. She wants to munch on some dog biscuits this weekend, so she's got to win some more to start out 2026. Here's Presley's teaser parlay number 1. Take over 4. It's a 10-point teaser, by the way. Take over 40.5 Oregon versus Texas Tech. Under 57.5 Alabama and Indiana. And under 67 or 65.5 Ole Miss and Georgia. That'll be a -120 if you play this 10-point teaser. Presley's teaser parlay number 2. How about Alabama? +17 now if you add the 10 points against Indiana. Oregon, +8.5 against Texas Tech. And Ole Miss getting 16.5 against Georgia. That's -120. That's a 10-point teaser for you. And how about a monster teaser? A 13-point teaser. This is a 4-way parlay. Go with the over 37.5 with Oregon versus Texas Tech. And then how about over 34.5 Alabama against Indiana? And then over 42.5 Ole Miss versus Georgia. And then finally, the 4th leg in this one, Alabama +20 against Indiana. That's -140. So a few teaser parlays to kind of chew on, if you will, here tonight or during the games. Get them in early, though. High noon's coming up in the opening game of the college football playoffs here on New Year's Day. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Happy New Year's again, everybody. Want to thank everybody for taking time out to be with us here on the network, as always, on your laptops, on your iPhones, however you watched us around the world right here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. And again, we invite you, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network. You get all of our great programming, as we mentioned, all of these episodes and more. The Extravaganza with yours truly and my tag team partner, Mitch Bernstein. We'll have another Extravaganza episode next Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, right here on the network. The ACHA Power Play will be back next week on Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the Road to St. Louis Season 10 of our Power Play. As we mentioned, it's getting into the sprint portion of our schedule. So make sure you check that out as well. And a whole lot more. So again, subscribe to our channel. Here, that is the Captain Lou Sports Network. All of our programming brought to you, as always, by SeatGeek, the official secondary market of the Captain Lou Sports Network. $20 off of your next purchase. It's that simple. That is SeatGeek. Use the promo code, and you'll get that discount as well. All right, everybody. Enjoy the games. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long.